No, there's a game being played, and they had Tebow on a big screen taking up 60% of it. Yeah, right. And the game being played on like 20% of the screen, right? What are we doing, ESPN?
It was the worst. Like, I get it. Tebow's in the building. But come on, guys. Like, this is a major game. Like, y'all want to do another documentary, a docuseries? Y'all go right ahead. But we're trying to watch the game. We are trying to watch the game. We don't need to zoom in. We don't need none of that. Show the game.
And Holly, thank you for all you do for the sport. Man, take your mind on.
Oh my goodness. Like y'all don't work together every day.
Tebow for government.
Quiet, man. Get out of here, bro. Like, get out of here.
And he crying? He crying?
He was crying before the interview started.
It's Third and Nole. We came together, all three of us reaching for one common goal. This is our show. Listen, you might get perspective of something that you didn't know. We gonna go all the way real with the topics. When you see Whitty, P. Austin, and Crockett, pressure good blisters, we stay in the pocket. Picture the run to the quarterback option. Organic process, listen and watch us. Everyone welcome, this is our casa. First and goal, second we throw. Short a few yards, third and Nole. Third and Nole. Third and Nole. Third and Nole.
State champ editions of Third and Nole. Well, I tell you what, it wasn't pretty, but we got the job done. Gentlemen, Third and Nole, let's talk about it.
It's great to be a Nole, 12-0. I'm still high off this, man. Gator fans.
Oh, you're surrounded by Gators, right?
It's a lot. And the thing that makes it so beautiful is not only did we beat them, but their season is done. Over. Take it to the crib. Yo, take it to the crib, man. So it feels
not the good laugh. Not the good laugh.
It feels so good because Gator fans are ridiculous. They are ridiculous. So, man, go sit down, have a seat.
Absolutely, it's a beautiful thing, man. Especially when in that fashion, right? When it didn't look good for a little while, but to come out on top with 12-0, like you said, to end their season, get them out. Send them home early, no extra practices. It's a beautiful thing.
I mean, this does a couple things, right? Not only are we state champs back-to-back seasons, I don't think Billy Napier's seat is hot right now, but I think he has got to perform in 2024. It becomes a very big season for him and his future in Gainesville. I don't know, man. He's kind of like one of those I'd be okay with giving a lifetime contract to. They didn't do that with some of the others.
I would welcome a lifetime deal. Doesn't LeBron have like a lifetime deal with Nike or something? Like, sign Napier to a lifetime deal.
Absolutely, he does.
Oh, Billy Taggart.
Ooh.
Buy you, Willie. Man, there's a whole bunch of them. Well, let's talk a little bit about the game. Obviously, Florida State came out. I felt like we played okay on defense. We just weren't getting guys to the ground. Like, we had a lot of really, really good defensive play calls because guys were in position. They were just not doing enough to get them to the turf, right? I mean, making contact behind the line of scrimmage, but failing to make or complete the tackle, let's call it. And that kind of set up for some really long drives. And it's one of those things, as Florida State fans, I feel like we have a history of seeing guys come in unheralded and just torch us in the past, right? Didn't Jeff Sims play well against us a couple years ago? I mean, it's just one of those things that when you have a mobile quarterback, you really don't know what to expect. And you couple that with our history, I can see why there was some concerns. I don't remember a time in our history where offensively we only ran, 3 plays the entire first quarter, which is just incredible.
Yeah.
So... And those 3 plays didn't look great.
No, they were possibly the worst 3
you were
consecutive plays of the season. Possible. But I'll say this.
And those are the ones that are scripted, right?
I mean, when I'm running back.
Like you're supposed to have a scripted drive.
Yeah, but when a running back tries to reverse the whole field and loses 11 yards, it's kind of hard to stay on script. But he made up for it when it was all said and done. I guess we'll get to that.
Yeah, I think I text. Oh, no. See? There we go. All right. So the first quarter, I felt like we did well enough. I mean, it was a bend don't break situation. I don't think they scored until really early in the second quarter. Man, I don't know. It was just one of those things that they go up 7-0. They get a field goal. I'll tell you what, man. Let's talk about the play that didn't end up happening for a second. Florida State on our own 25-yard line actually attempted and pulled off a fake punt.
Yeah.
Right? Now we know that there was a delayed game, but was that a prepared thing if they saw something they were going to do it? Or was that a desperation move? What do you think, Phil?
Well, I'll jump in.
I don't.
Okay.
I don't think it was a desperation move. I think Norvell sensed what was happening. Like, even though we play a lot of guys on defense, what you don't want to do is have your defense on the field for a lot of plays in the first half. I don't care how many players you play. Once you get to the third or fourth quarters of a close game, your guys are going to be tired if they have just played, 40 snaps in the first half. Also, I think being an offensive guy, he was like, we're well into the second quarter, and we've literally snapped the ball 6 times. Like, I need to get my quarterback a rhythm if we're going to have any chance. And so I wouldn't say desperation, but
wasn't it fourth and it's 4th and 10 plus.
It was 4th and 6. It was 4th and 6.
Was it? Oh, man.
It was 4th and 6. So I wouldn't say desperation. I think it was almost the opposite. Like, I believe that if my offense can just get that one play, that one first down or couple, good games together, that we can really get this thing moving. But the longer it takes, the lower my quarterback's confidence will be. And we all witnessed, Tate looked very shook in that first half. Very shook. Deer in the headlights. So I think he was really just being bullish.
But let me ask this, Croc. So did Tate look shook, or was there a reason for Tate to look shook based on the circumstances that he was placed in? I mean, I don't know. We know how Travis has been a calming presence, but I don't know of many quarterbacks that wouldn't look shook if every time you get the ball, you run the ball, because that's Mike Norvell's MO, right? We're going to run the ball, and we're putting ourselves in a hole where it's 2nd and 12, 2nd and 13, 2nd and 20. Wouldn't any quarterback look shook in that situation, especially making your first start on the road against a rival?
Yeah, I think those situations that Tate was thrown into would get most people shook. First start of the season, in the swamp, Saturday night, the place was a madhouse, rivalry game, everything on the line, all eyes on him. But there definitely were deer caught in the headlight vibes. But we know what this offensive line is. We know what the running game is. Take Travis out of the equation, it's just gotten 10 times more difficult to run. So he definitely took some time to get settled in. But I think all of us feel like it was warranted.
And let's talk about their first touchdown and what an absolute disaster of an officiating job that was. So I think going into the first score of the game really was ACC officials 7, Florida State 0, because that was a beautifully dialed up blitz by Fuller that would have made it 4th and long. And yet here they are with 1st and goal on an atrocious call. That's the worst call I think I've seen in a decade. And that's saying something. It was awful. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
ACC refs, ACC officials. That was the most pine soft, call tissue, triple ply. Like, that was the softest call I have ever seen. The blitz was schemed up perfectly. It was timed perfectly. Hakeem Dent actually pulled up. Like, he really could have laid into him. He intentionally went in there, not trying to destroy the quarterback.
It was a glorified chest bump. It was a glorified chest bump because he could have absolutely destroyed Max Brown.
Ended his night.
Could have ended his career. Mm-hmm. I mean, he was untouched at full velocity and let up and really hit him standing straight up versus going anything with a shoulder into the midsection would have been the end of the night for Max Brown. I just could not fathom. So again, you take Florida and eliminate any chance of a touchdown opportunity there. It would have been fourth and really long. And, their field goal kicker at that point, I think had already missed a field goal. So I don't know, man. It was really frustrating to see ACC officials swing the game early. And let's face it, I don't care. I know the agreement had been made based on some historical shenanigans whereby the away team's conference officials officiate the game.
Nobody would ask for those officials on purpose.
Not one person. Not one person. Please give us the SEC officials for every game when we play Florida.
Yeah. I was watching a Gator podcast just prepping for the week. What I learned was previously it was in the contract that ACC officials would not ref the Florida State game at the Swamp, and that deal was just renewed. And when it was renewed, that wasn't added in. But previously, I don't know if ACC refs were reffing those games in the Swamp. Going back to some bad officiated game, they was like, you know what, we're not allowing ACC refs in here. So I don't know. We're used to it.
I think the historical beef was the home team's conference officials couldn't ref the home team, right? So that's what they did a couple years ago was they made the away team's officials, like the host team can't have their conference's officials hosting the game based on some historical question marks. But again, I'm officially pleading, assuming that at least for next year, we're going to be in the same conference. Can we please just amend that contract to give us an opportunity to have SEC officials, regardless of where the game is being played? I think that'll serve better for Florida State as a team. So I mean, Phil, when you saw that, my head exploded. Like I was doing everything I had not to have a stream of cuss words come out of my mouth in front of my wife and children, and I bit my tongue pretty hard. But
I was extremely confused because initially they kept saying Patrick Payton's name. And so I'm looking like, oh, what Patrick Payton do?
Done did.
Oh, what did he say?
Like, what did he do? And so they showed a replay, and literally he sees Dent's about to get the sack before it happens, and he literally pulls up, and Dent gets the sack. So I'm like, wait, what did I miss? And then as time goes on, they say it's on Dent, not Peyton. And then I'm even more confused because I'm like, what happened? Like, and then like they tried to say, oh, well, he kind of brushed his face mask. But even, when they bring in the all-knows professional ref from, home base, wherever that is, he was even like, no, I definitely question this call. Like, I don't know what they see. When you hear that, that's when I said in the text thread, like, ACC refs. There's nothing else you can say. ACC refs.
So at first, I thought that they called it on Peyton, and I thought they were going to call it unsportsmanlike, right? So they kept showing Peyton. I'm like, well, maybe they just misannounced the penalty because surely that wasn't on Dent. And when they came back and like, oh no, it was unnecessary roughness on the tackle. Like, did he fail to put a pillow down before Buddy landed? Like, I don't get it. It was awful. It was absolutely awful.
And the timing of it, like it was a very pivotal, horrible call.
So think about it. It was a 4-point swing, and until we got the last touchdown, they had an opportunity, and that 4 points was meaningful until the very end, right? So I don't know, man. It was just such a bad call. It was just such a bad call. It was one of the worst I've seen in a really, really long time. That was worse, in my opinion, than the phantom chop block they called on Dalvin's run a few years ago
Oh, yeah.
because of the timing, the impact of the game, the fact that it took points away from Dalvin then, but man, this was bad, real bad. And to your point, Phil, when the expert official comes on and Herb Street and Fowler are both like, "What is that? Like that? Surely that can't be the call." It was just awful. It was just awful. Like you almost expected them to wave that off.
Right.
Do something. Do something. But you can't. I don't know. You can't stick with that. You can't.
And what's crazy is I feel like there's no accountability. How do you get to be that bad at your job and get to roll right back out there next week? Like, that's what's incredible to me. And man, listen, props to Norvell because he let them guys have it.
I loved every second of it.
Absolutely.
He let them have it. In fact, I wish the angle was a little bit better because at the end of the game, when you saw Norvell running out to meet Napier, that official pass in front of, did y'all see this?
Mm-hmm.
When he saw that official and pointed at him, oh, there's videos out there. I'll see if I can find it. But he points at Buddy, and I wish the angle was better so you could read his lips to see what he says. Anyway, so they take a 7-0 lead on some questionable stuff. I feel like everything that could go wrong for Florida State did. And you talk about the negative plays. You talk about sustaining drives by them where our defense would get them to 3rd and long, and then we get them to 3rd and 12 and they would get 16 or whatever the case may be. And then even Mastromano, who's been such an incredible player, such an incredible punter, even his punting was off, right? Like he ended up with like a 22-yard punt or something when one shanked off his foot and went into the stands. Like it just, everything had an odd feel to it, in the first half.
That might have been a bad snap.
The one where he had to almost like dodge somebody and get the kickoff. I think they said it was because of a bad snap.
But everything wrong that could happen almost happened. The only thing that did not happen was a turnover.
Right.
Like, had we had a fumble or INT, I just think momentum would have just went crazy in the opposite direction. But no matter how bad the first quarter, even some of the second quarter looked, there still was so much hope because Florida could not steal the show.
Right.
Like,
I agree.
They were just annoying. They were just doing just enough to make us swat.
Wait. Did you say they were annoying?
They were.
Definitely.
They definitely were.
Just go away. Like, we know y'all season is over. Like, you're down 2 offensive linemen. Yeah, quarterback. Just quit. Just roll over. Just give up. But no, they hung around and they were just pests. They were pests.
They were pests. And another thing I'll say before we talk about maybe what I think is the pivotal turning point in the second quarter. ESPN, during the game, did you need to interview Tebow for 73 minutes?
Oh my goodness.
Oh my God.
And just are you kidding me? And then they just rolled right into Graham Mertz. Like it was show the 15 who's not playing, give him all the spotlight. I just could not believe that they gave so much airtime to those two guys during the game while the play. It wasn't like coming out of timeout and we're going to catch it right before no, there's a game being played and they had Tebow on a big screen taking up 60% of it. Yeah, right. And the game being played on like 20% of the screen, right? What are we doing, ESPN?
It was the worst. Like, I get it. Tebow's in the building. But come on, guys. Like, this is a major game. Like, y'all want to do another documentary, a docuseries? Y'all go right ahead. But we're trying to watch the game. We are trying to watch the game. We don't need to zoom in. We don't need none of that. Show the game.
And Holly, thank you for all you do for the sport. Man, take your mind on.
Oh my goodness. Like y'all don't work together every day.
Tebow for governor.
Quiet, man. Get out of here, bro. Like, get out of here.
And he crying? He crying?
He was crying before the interview started.
I'm like, my goodness.
Yeah.
I was over it.
Let me say what I think was possibly the turning point. in the second quarter, late, we knew we had to get a drive going. We knew we needed points, especially before halftime. The pass that Tate made to Jaheim Bell to pick up a first down, it was a beautiful ball.
Mm-hmm.
It was a beautiful catch and run. It sustained that drive, and I felt like that play specifically gave Tate just a little bit of confidence that he can let that thing fly. He wasn't getting a whole lot of help elsewhere, whether it be, some play calling issues. Maybe, we had a couple drops by some guys, but that catch, and who knows how the game turns out if Bell misses that, right?
Which he has done before.
Which he has done, right? But the fact that he pulled that in, was able to get a first down, and then Florida State goes on and scores on that drive. I think that pass, and truthfully, just the placement of it, the velocity he put on it was perfect. It was a great pass, and I think that was a huge confidence boost. And it was kind of a turning point in the game for him because things started clicking just a little bit. Yeah, do you guys have thoughts on that play specifically, or is there any other point that you think may have led to the light maybe coming? Let's call the deer in headlight look going away, because I think he shook that as time went on, and I think that drive helped him a lot.
Yeah, he crossed the street. Like if a deer is caught in the headlight, he crossed the street, and I appreciate the call because it was a familiar target, perhaps going back to his high school days.
Middle school.
Wow, I didn't even.
Middle school.
Yeah, so
yeah,
it was a perfect throw. I mean, it was on the road. Jaheim caught the pass. So great call, man. That's one of the things I appreciate about Norvell. He makes these calls, these decisions to really swing momentum, or to really almost like a Zen master. And I know early on in his tenure at Florida State, he was saying that it's not really about momentum, but about the next play. But I think he does things to really swing that momentum.
That's coach speak. That's coach speak.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. It was a great call, great throw, great execution.
It was amazing. I think he called plays for the targets that Tate was comfortable with. We remember Louisville last year, him and Johnny Wilson connecting and pretty much winning the game. And lo and behold, our leading receiver is Johnny Wilson, right? And that's kind of who he leaned on for a lot of that drive, was looking for Johnny Wilson. And so it definitely started to build his confidence. So that was good to see. We still got a little ways to go. But yeah, it was definitely good to see.
So on that same drive, when you talk about the confidence building and crossing the road, the pass that and Herbstreit was pretty enamored by it, but the pass that he made to Johnny Wilson that was unnecessarily reviewed at the 2-yard line, that was an absolute dime. Like there's no better placement on that ball. There's no better pass that could be made in that situation. It was just a beautiful pass that got us some yards when we needed it, and got us right there at the 2-yard line. What an incredible play. And you talk about, again, gaining confidence. I think it was pretty significant, that play as well.
Yeah, the timing on that was impeccable, and the ball placement immaculate. And Johnny showing up for his quarterback. Johnny has had some drops, but showed up, really showed up and showed out when it mattered.
It kind of captured what we always hear about Tate, right? The arm strength, the ability to make those NFL throws. It was the dime. I mean, that's really all you can say. It was the dime.
Really, really remarkable. Trey Benson, or shall I call him Trey Jekyll, or Trey Hyde? Listen, I'm gonna go ahead and call it how I see it. We've done this from the very beginning of this podcast. Trey Benson baffles me. I cannot figure him out, because Trey Benson will miss a wide open lane created by his offensive line that is destined to get him 20 yards. At times he will read a block like Emmitt Smith, and I think Herbstreit pointed it out later in the game where he really kind of followed his block and did something. He will at times run through contact, and there are times where he folds up. I don't know. It is mind blowing. I appreciate when Trey is running hard and he's doing all the things. I just don't. You just don't know. There's no consistency to what Trey Benson you're going to get, and I don't know, man. It's just remarkable. I don't know that I've ever seen a runner that can look so different, even within one game.
No, you spot on. I think this guy, this young man, has the ability to take it to the house, but that's also his curse. It's a blessing and a curse. He knows if he gets that hole, or if it's him and a DB on an angle, he's going to take it to the house. But I think what the coaches were hammering in preparation, we began to hear, listen, it's going to be a grind. 2 yards, 3 yards, nothing. Then it's going to pop. Finally, when I guess he was humbled, you're right, by that first possession, he began to be patient. It popped. And that's the thing. When you have the ability to take off on 50, 60, 40 yard rushes, just be patient. Everything it can't be 40 every possession. Like you would be the greatest running back ever. So just be patient, and I would like to see, I don't know if we're going to be able to see it this season, but as he goes to the next level, hopefully we'll see him be able to lower that pad level and really deliver some punishment. Right now, he's running through arm tackles, but you're the man amongst boys. I would like to see him lower that pad level.
Yeah, the Jekyll and Hyde, just real quick, Phil. So going between elite and fourth string ability, right? Like that, it's just, you really don't know what you're going to get. And there are times where he can be literally looking like one of the best running backs in the country. And then there are times where you're just like, can we not find somebody else?
I wish somebody would be in his ear just trying to help or make him understand that, yes, the 3 to 4 yard gains are not the sexy play, but that's what's going to get you paid. Like if you are 220 and you can consistently show you want to run between the tackles and get those 3 and 4 yard gains, but you always pose a threat to break one deep, that's what gets you paid. But when you're 220 and every time you touch the ball, you want to head to the sideline, that's what gets you drafted in the 6th round, not the 1st or 2nd. And so I think, I don't know, I maybe as we approach and play on a bigger stage and maybe even a bigger stage after that he can at least start to show that, because right now he has not helped himself by coming back this year.
I will say this about Trey Benson, and this is something that I will the utmost respect, and this is a huge compliment. He is a Florida State rival killer. He has played his best games against our rivals, and to that I absolutely salute him. So I just wish that there was more consistency, game in, game out, play in, play out, and not knowing what you're going to get. So that's hey, salute to Trey Benson. We need you to be elite the next couple games. So let's run with that.
Yeah, Benson, you gotta love him. I mean, just the way he takes it, he could take the game over and swing momentum. Absolutely gotta love him. He's gonna have a position on the next level. We just want him to be more than special teams, right? We want you to really represent and follow that tradition of great Florida State running backs. You have all of the physical attributes. I just think his biggest gift is also his biggest curse. And he even admittedly said it in the preseason that he's always leaned on his speed.
Let me ask you this. 5 years into the league, who's going to have the best first 5 years, Cam Akers or Trey Benson in the NFL?
Cam Akers.
Yeah.
Think so?
I would echo and say Cam.
I think it largely depends on the team that Benson ends up playing for. I think Benson has the ability to have a more productive first 5 years. And listen, I love Cam Akers, but Cam is not as big or as fast.
He's not, but he's more willing to run between the tackles, and he's more patient. Like, you can't. I mean, you watch today's NFL. There's no running back. There aren't any running backs anymore who you run sweet tosses to. There's just not. And so you're going to have to get the ugly 3 or 4 yards, and then hopefully something opens up for you. But if you don't learn to run between the tackles and love doing it, you're not going to get the opportunities. I think that's more of my thing. It's not that Trey Benson isn't as skilled. Trey Benson is definitely better equipped to be an NFL running back than Cam Akers. But you only get so many opportunities in the NFL because you see what's going on now. They feel running backs are a dime a dozen. They feel they can get a elite back in the 6th, 7th round. Not elite, but somebody that can manage. So it can kill his opportunities.
That's a great point. That's a great point. So the willingness to be patient could be the detriment of. Not the detriment. I shouldn't say it that way. That's maybe a too strong a word, but it could impede on what could be seen as a successful NFL career. So Florida State, obviously, we get a touchdown there before half. Listen, I did not like calling timeout when Florida received the ball. I think that was a situation where Coach Norvell outsmarted himself because Hussey took a terrible angle, Dent missed a tackle, and boom, 50-yard run, and we almost gave up points, which we had no business doing because of that timeout. I think Florida was content on just doing a couple running plays and taking it to the house. When we called a timeout, they tried something. It almost backfired. So we talked about it, I guess, in the text, but what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I've heard a couple of different theories as to why Coach called the timeout. I don't think any of us like that timeout. And it looked like UF just wanted to get into halftime. Like, they were starting to kind of give in. But when you call that timeout, that's locker room motivation. Like, it's just like what happened with last week with UNA. They called a timeout. Norvell is already walking onto the field. Like, he's thinking they're about to just run the clock out. UNA coach calls a timeout. We end up getting a INT, right? So it's just extra motivation. I would just like for us just to go into the locker room and come out, but we survived. A kicker having a bad night really helped.
I understand it. I mean, because we're used to it, right? He always does it. So it's nothing new. I feel like, for one, I don't think there was enough time. Like, there's like 20-some seconds left. That's number one. And number two, let's be real. We should have been down 23-0 at this point. And we're going into the locker room 12-7. Take it. Run with it. Like, you just, look, we weathered the storm. Let's get back to the locker room, make our halftime adjustments. Then let's come out and do what we do. And I just feel like we almost gave that away.
Florida State goes into halftime down 12-7. We didn't even talk about the safety. We don't really need to talk about it. I think that was a situation where it was a combination of bad play call, bad read, bad execution that led to the safety. So again, we don't really need to beat that up. When you go into the second half, I felt like Florida State really needed to score coming out after halftime. And I thought, again, we saw Tate Croc, to your point, had crossed the road, right? I feel like we saw better decision making. We saw quicker throws. We saw him feel a little bit more comfortable. There was just a little bit more of a groove at that point in time. So, I just, it's kind of crazy. And we didn't even talk about the first half, the spitting incident. And I don't know if you guys have seen the meme yet, but the meme out there says, a gator spit causes no bola.
If you find that, please send that to me.
Oh, it's on the way. So here's the thing,
Classic.
though, man. That was just, it's disgusting. Like there's things in sports you just don't do. You don't spit at somebody, man. And I appreciate Keandre Jones for not taking the bait, because he, in that moment, may have been a bigger person than I would have been, because I don't know how I would have handled that.
Oh, I know how I would have handled it if I was his size. I mean, not my current stature, right? But I mean, big respect, big shout out, man, for keeping composure. And I think it's a complete 180 in programs. I think Florida's on the verge of having a culture problem. And if they don't do some things to really change and shift things, like, it's going to get worse.
As you laugh,
Is that
full of
possible?
joy. As you laugh full of joy. That's too funny.
Oh, man. No, and I'm going to tell you why I'm laughing, because, and I know we'll get to it, but Napier, even, matter of fact, it echoes this. Coach Napier, going into halftime, when asked about this incident, he had like this little smirk on his face when talking to it. And maybe I'm reading into it. Maybe I felt some kind of way.
No,
but
you're right. You're right.
He kind of just was like, yeah, it's a rivalry game, but you can't do that. But he had this smirk on his face. I'm like, your player just spit on somebody. It's one of the most defile, most disrespectful things you can probably do to another human being. And you're smirking about it? Okay. We'll respond. Man, this feels so good, bro.
Oh, man. That's too funny.
I just feel like there were, I don't know, man, and there were a couple of big plays in the second half. I tell you what, I want to give a huge shout out. Our defense is the reason why we could make noise in the playoffs, right? Obviously, we got Louisville coming up, but our defense all season long in the second half has just responded in a way that is mind blowing, and they kept that up. And in a time where we really needed it, in a time where we really needed our defense to step up, they just responded in a huge way. So I just, again, huge shout out to our defense. I do find it funny that their defensive coordinator, who I feel like Herb Street and Fowler had a man crush on the. I don't know if you guys knew this, but it's actually the kid from The Sandlot. He grew up and became a defensive coordinator for the Gators. You remember the chubby redheaded kid from the Sandlot?
Yeah.
That's him.
Wait, that's not really him?
No, it's not him. They just
no,
But
come on.
but listen, they fell in love with that defensive coordinator and how passionate he was, right? But come on, man, our defense, and specifically Jared freaking Verse. Jared Verse had himself a game. I can't even. That's the best game he's had. That's the best game that Jared Verse and Akeem Dent have had as Florida State Seminoles.
Yeah, it was Akeem for sure. And yeah, I don't know if Verse has inserted himself like that.
I don't know, man. I've never seen. Jared Verse got a sack by pushing a tackle into the quarterback. What?
Yeah. And I don't understand why they didn't do more to help that young man out of tackle. But it's like they just left him on an island against Jared Verse. And it kind of goes to show the inexperience of that D coordinator, because he probably just looked at Verse's stats and said, maybe we can go 1-on-1. Silly American. Tricks are for kids. So great outing. The whole defensive line showed up. Fisk first quarter was creating a lot of havoc. It was just a great outing.
Love it. Had a heck of a game.
It was good to see Love it in his bag.
Welcome back.
And think about how scary this team could be in a bowl game or a playoff series when Jackson gets back, and how fresh that cat is going to be. Like, he's going to be hungry. I'm talking about hungry with an O. Hungry.
And what a great young man to stay engaged throughout this entire season, even at this game, front and center. When the team is huddling, he's there. So, man, I just hope that we are able to see him in the post regular season playoff game. I'm speaking that into existence, man.
Real quick before we kind of wrap up Florida, any last comments you guys have on the Florida game? I have two things I wanted to say. One thing, did you guys see? First of all, we held our two rivals' star wide receivers, to minimal impact. Restrepo for Miami had no catches, and last night, or Saturday night rather, I think Pearsall had one catch, maybe two. And that kid's a problem. I still say he was probably the best wide receiver on the field last year in Tallahassee. But the fact that we held both of those guys to minimal impact was a big deal.
Yeah, and the freshman is no easy cover either. Number 3, I don't know if it's Henderson or Richardson, but he's very dynamic. But this defense has been elite. I will say, backup quarterback, limited throwing ability, but we did what we're supposed to do, and that shut down the offense, especially the passing attack. So, and the defense is elite. And Fuller, I trust.
Defense, definitely, weird to say, is our strength of the season. They're our strength of the season, man.
Wow.
when you look at everything they've done versus the competition, look, Jaden Daniels is putting up NCAA 2014. When's the last time they made a game? 2014? Like, he's putting up insane numbers.
Insane.
And he did none of that against FSU. None of that. It's just, mine is Boston College. Like, this defense has played at an elite level. At this point, we just have to see how far it can carry us.
Well, that's what I said, man. Like, I think that really our defense stacks up as well as just about anybody in the country. It's just a matter of where can our offense take us. And when they're playing good with the athletes that we have, it's fun to think about, right? One thing, I don't know, did you guys see where, speaking of Pearsall, did you see where his grandmother went to social media?
No.
So she went to Facebook and said something to the effect of, they didn't even give my grandson, Ricky Pearsall, the chance to make his receiving record. He could have done it in that game, and it broke my heart to see him not get it, essentially.
He needed 56 yards
to break Florida's receiving record.
I don't know if it was to break their receiving record, but I did see a tweet where it was like he was 56 yards short of being a 1,000-yard receiver, and I think that's kind of like the goal that he was. One of the goals that he had an opportunity to.
Surely he can pick that up in the bowl game, though, right?
Yeah, he has a good chance. Really good chance.
Oops.
54. That's a negative.
Really good chance.
Last thing I want to say about the Florida game before we turn to Louisville and really close out with our comments on fantasy. I did think it was incredibly respectful that Tebow was being honored and all this stuff. I think it was really cool that Florida scored 15 points to honor Tebow. I thought that was a stand-up job by them. Like what a way to honor Tim Tebow than to just say, we're going to get our 15 and hold tight.
They're trash, man. They're trash.
Oh my goodness. One last. Say again?
That was definitely hilarious. And I did find it fitting that after Tebow's long segment, they did give Jordan Travis a segment. Jordan Travis' segment was shorter, which I don't quite understand since Jordan Travis is currently on the team. But I did like that they included him in the broadcast.
I'll tell you what I didn't like. Because at first I thought it was maybe just because Florida was winning, but the amount of love they gave the Florida backup QB and he was a 3-sport star going all the way back to high school and his dad this and blah, blah, blah. And so I'm like, okay, this is a bit much, but we are losing. Maybe they're just trying to prep us for, but then second half, there was none of that Tate Love. Literally there was zero, unless they were talking about the big shoes that he needs to fill. Like, I'm like, okay, so clearly you weren't prepared to talk about Tate. Even if we were up 100-0, you were prepared to love on Tate same way you loved on this Max Brown kid. That just rubbed me the wrong way.
Yeah, fair point. Let's close up this game with responded. Croc, you want to go first?
Let's do it. I'm going to start off with responded. Big shout out to Green. Last week I banged up, gave up some plays before the injury revealed itself or he got dinged up. But this game came in, did a great job, and also just the physicality that he brought.
Man, he lowered the boom, didn't he? He lowered. So you mean to tell me that wasn't unnecessary roughness, but Akeem Dents was? Get out of here.
It reminded me of Jamie Robinson last year when he threw the Miami quarterback Brown to the ground like a rag doll. It was just one of those things. Y'all not on my level. Get your weight up. So responded and respond. It's going to be a unique one because he ended up doing so great, statistically speaking.
I feel like
Benson.
I feel like we might have the same one. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Trey. I need you to respond because, man, the potential for you to be something so special is there. We know there's some challenges up front. We know you no longer have your partner in the backfield, JT, but chip away, get those 2, get those 3. It's going to pop. When it pops, all you got to do is take it to the house like we know you can do.
Go ahead, Phil.
For my responded, I'm going to Akeem Dent. All year we've said he's a safety that is the safe play almost. He's not a playmaker. He's just going to stay in position and make sure we don't give up the big play, right? Though it wasn't a fumble recovery for a touchdown or a pick 6, he made big play after big play. There were at least 2 or 3 tackles that if he doesn't make that tackle, it's probably a touchdown or close to it. He showed up. He showed up and he showed out. Respond, I have to go with Tate Rodemaker. Not that he played bad or not that he played terrible. He wasn't great. He wasn't terrible. He was, it started off really, really shaky. He started to get his feet under him, the second half. One thing we hear a lot when it comes to football, or most sports, is, most teams make their biggest jumps from week 1 to week 2, right? And essentially this was Tate's week 1, his first start. And so I hope that, he learned a lot and that he makes that jump because I truthfully feel if we get that same Tate in the first half against Louisville, we cannot win. And so that's why I'm going with Tate.
I loved your Akeem Dent call out because I think that I agree with you. I think Akeem Dent had his best game as a Nole, right? And listen, it's the low hanging fruit here is Jared Verse. I'm going to give you one, and for my responded. And then I also have an honorable mention, and I'm not going to say Verse.
And his
Wait, hold on. Habitual line stepper. No, so I'm actually going to cheat twice here. So my responded was the linebacking core, all of them. Because
are we making up rules as we go now?
Listen, that entire unit held their running backs in check, and I said last week that if we can control their running backs, then we can win the game. And I feel like the combination of Deloach, Bethune, Lundy, those three guys really did their job. They understood the assignment, and they limited, especially in the second half, but they limited the ground game for Florida. And we knew that Max Brown was decent. I think he had a pretty good game. He might even have a good future. Still got a trash coach, but you know the
wow. You won't see it in the bowl.
Yeah, we're not gonna see how he looks in that game. But so here's my honorable mention though. My honorable mention goes to the Marching Chiefs because they are. Listen, first of all, the telecast, you could hear the war chant loud and proud early in the game, right? Early in the game. And, Florida State, we play eastbound and down, honoring Burt Reynolds, going into the fourth quarter. The Gators like to play a Tom Petty song, Won't Back Down. The Marching Chiefs, in the most petty fashion imaginable, start playing the war chant in the middle of Tom Petty's song. And that is a beautiful, beautiful thing to do in a rivalry game. So they definitely get my honorable mention as responded. To respond, man, I'm going to go with Mastromano just because he's been so good all year. He had... No. Cancel that. Keon Coleman is my response. Come on, number 4. We need you to be elite. Now, you had an incredible punt return, and dare I say, we may not win without that punt return. Okay? Had to have it.
I'm sorry. I can't allow you to do Keon like this. He needs targets.
Listen.
He needs targets to respond. He needs targets to respond.
Bang, bang.
Agree, but he didn't. Listen, man. I've been the president of the Keon fan club on this podcast.
I'm shocked.
That's why I need him to do better.
This fantasy numbers talking. This is fantasy points
talking.
Wow,
see?
He got to get attempts. He has to get the ball thrown his way.
I'm with Crop, bro. Keon Coleman in the month of November has like 6 catches.
So I get that he has to have attempts. Here's the thing. Without Keon Coleman being the Keon Coleman that we've come to love this season, we may not get past Louisville, much less whatever may come after that. So that's my point. I just need Keon to be the incredible wide receiver that he has shown himself to be this season. That's all. Because I feel like there was that one route, and Herbstreit called him out. He did not. He cut one route short. He let up on it. So it's just little stuff like that. Did. I just need him to step it up. So that's my response. I need Keon Coleman to step up and do his thing. Louisville on a 1 to 10 scale, 10 being super confident we're going to beat the brakes off them like Southern Miss. 1 being we're going to get beat like we're playing a Tom Brady-led Patriots. What's your confidence level here, Phil?
Don't do that.
He was about to say 3, Croc.
5. I think he's gonna say 5.
Nah,
I was.
Nah.
I would 6.
Okay. Croc, what do you got?
7.
I'm with you. I say 7. Let's throw some scores out there. I'll go. 30-20. Florida State wins.
Phil?
I don't know, guys. I don't. My heart's torn. My heart's torn. Right now, I don't know how we win this game with the tape that we witnessed. Let me say that. Defensively, I'm not concerned.
I don't like this.
Oh. I'm going to say 17-14 Florida State.
Okay. I'm going to say 28-24. 28-24 Florida State.
All right. I don't think we see the Tate Rodemaker. To your point, the biggest jump between game 1 and game 2. I think that playing in a hostile environment, he's already beat Louisville at Louisville. I think that we're going to see a completely different Rodemaker with maybe a better offensive game plan. Now I get it. Florida's defense is ass. I mean, they gave up 700 yards to LSU, and I think we expected more. But to your point about Keon needs attempts, right? Florida State didn't have many offensive attempts, especially in the first half last week. So I think that we will remedy that, and I think Florida State's going to do fine this weekend. I think we win, and we'll get to talk about that next week. Let's talk about fantasy real quick.
My defense balled out. I know that. Don't be sitting there rubbing your head magic with your lips poked out. Like, can we turn his camera off?
I can't be tired,
bro.
I didn't say anything. I'm just waiting for the tally.
I'm getting on my nerves.
All right. So for the week, third place, me. I have 41 points, led by Braden Fisk. Keon got me 3. Jaheim got me 6. Ventrell got me 8. Akeem Dent got me 7. I thought he'd have more than that because I felt like he just had an incredible game, but he got 7 points for me. I have 41 points for the week. Second place for the week, Croc had 63 points.
Oh,
wow. Trey got you 28. Listen, Trey got you 28. Pat Payton got you 17. And then really not a whole lot else. You got 9 from Kalen DeLoach, and that was about it. And most of that was on the interception at the end. Phil
defense balled out.
He had 66 points. Wilson got him 12. Verse got him 22. Let's see. Shaheem Brown got you 9.
For loss.
Bethune got you 9. Farmer got you 7. Yeah. So point totals on the season as we wrap the regular season up. Third place is Phil.
Right. We know that.
546.
He can say it by himself.
You over here dancing, doing all this stuff. You still losing.
546 for Phil. Down just 88 points to me in second place. I got 634.
Yeah, you take a week off and still beat him.
Croc spread the lead out because we were tied last week, but as of this week, you are now up 22 points. So it's now 656 to 634 and 546 in third place.
Wow.
So
almost 100. It's 100?
Wow. No, it's 110, actually.
It's like 2 weeks at your rate, Phil.
It's real cute. I remember one too long ago, you put up like 7 points.
That is true. You did have
What was that?
You had a pretty bad week a couple weeks ago.
Imagine if I didn't.
Imagine if you do again.
You had 27.
Never know. Never know.
Never know. I'll still be up.
All right, guys. much like Florida's season, I say we end it here.
Love it.
Hey, Third and Nole.
We out.
We out.